welcome to the Irvin J. Nutter Center with Mark Vest. I'm Geoff Kim, and welcome to Raider basketball. Tonight, Wright State takes on the Cleveland State Vikings, and Mark, they come in having broken an 8-game losing streak, but they face a Cleveland State team that has had good luck here in the city of Dayton.
Well, they really have. A couple weeks ago, they come into the UD Arena, a heavy underdog, and they pull off a big victory. So Raleigh Massimino has always had good luck in Dayton, clear back to his days at Villanova. So a good coach. He's been in the business for 30 years. You can't count him out.
And the Vikings are led by an impressive guard named James Madison.
Well, and he's a guy that Wright State has to account for. He, against Green Bay just last week, 7 out of 10 from behind a three-point arc. Very streaky shooter. You got to contain him.
And, of course, he beat Wright State the last time around with 7 threes of his own. Talking about the home team Raiders, and, of course, Thad Burton continues to impress.
Well, he really does. He's 5th in the nation in rebounding. He's done it all year long. He's been a force in the middle. He has a little bit of a size advantage tonight over the inside people for Cleveland State. Wright State's going to need to take advantage of that.
Let's make the one final point here. If there's a part of the game that really needs to be looked at, perhaps it's got to be rebounding tonight.
Well, there's no doubt about it. You win basketball games by rebounding and shooting free throws. On your home floor, Wright State's got to take control, and they got to take control early.
It's Fairborn night here at the Irvin J. Nutter Center, and Mark and I will come back with a play-by-play in just a moment.
Media One's presentation of Wright State men's basketball is brought to you by National. National is the official car rental agency of the Midwestern Collegiate Conference. In the Dayton area, call 937-890-0100 for reservations. And by the Midwestern Collegiate Conference, a solid foundation building for the future.
Hello and welcome once again to Raider basketball with Mark Vest. I'm Geoff Kim, and we're pleased to have you as we come from the Irvin J. Nutter Center tonight. It's the Raiders against the Vikings. And if you're ready now, let's give you the starting lineups. First for the Vikings, at the guard spots, it's James Madison wearing the number 33 and number 34, Theo Dixon. The forwards tonight are number 21, Jovan Jefferson, and number 42, Michael Bowens. The center, number 5, Carter Arnett. They are coached by Raleigh Massimino. His team comes in 10-12, 4-6 in the MCC. Overall for Raleigh, his 25th year of coaching, 446 and 308. For the Wright State Raiders, the guards tonight are number 21, Keon Brooks, and number 32, Brandon Pardon. The forwards tonight are number 44, Steno Koss, and number 30, Sherman Curry. And the center tonight, number 43, Thad Burton. Their head coach, Ed Schilling, his first year and overall record, coming in with 8 wins. So, Mark, of course, a pretty strong test for the Raiders, but one place they may have an advantage on is size, because the forwards do dwarf over the forwards of Cleveland State.
Well, they really do, and they need to take advantage of that early in this ball game, Jeff. Cleveland State, obviously not a team that's very successful on the road so far this year. I believe 2-9. One of those victories, however, crosstown, very tough place to play, the UD Arena. Wright State knows how difficult it is to play in that building, so they've proven that when they have to, they can lace them up with the best of them and play well on the road. So Wright State's going to have to come out and take control of this basketball game. One big telling stat in my mind, Cleveland State 1-11 when they trail at half. So this is a team you have to get on top of early and hold them down.
Sherman Curry will take the tip as they'll face off against, apparently, Michael Bowens at the center Wolf as we await to get this one underway. J.D. Collins at the center line, waiting to set things in motion as we got 20 minutes of basketball here in this first half. The tip will go to Wright State, and we're underway here at the Nutter Center. Keon Brooks on the outset, and they keep it around the arc. Brandon Pardon over for Keon. Baseline move, feeds underneath for Burton, puts it up, and 2-0 Raiders.
Good luck that time by Keon, putting the basketball on the floor. Cleveland State's going to overplay him a lot. They know he's the guy that's going to look to score. Nice gift that time with that.
Ball goes underneath to Jovan Jefferson. Back up high for James Madison. And we'll be mentioning his name throughout the night.
Well, we've really got a treat here tonight, Jeff. 2 of the top 3 scorers in the MCC in Madison and Keon Brooks as Cleveland State comes right back, answers with a deuce.
Theo Dixon, a nice pull-up J from 18, and we're even up at 2. Curry baseline, puts up rainbow, yes.
Sherman Curry sets great elevation on that jump shot. Very, very difficult, if not impossible to block. He's really come on the second half of the season for Ed Schilling.
Madison, the feed underneath Bowens, and it's out of bounds, and the Raiders will take possession.
Good tough defense, a lot of pressure that time. Hands in passing lanes. That's what we're going to see, throughout the rest of this year, and I'm sure in the future, a lot of pressure on defense from Ed Schilling and his team.
Curry up high against 1-3-1 zone outset. He on the cross court. And then puts it in play. Feeds underneath, no one there. Michael Bowens intercepts, and here come the Vikings.
Not a pass that Keon needs to throw. Needs to take some time, get a better shot. It will be available.
Here's a shot for three. Bowens will knock it down, and it's 5-4.
Cleveland State, Jeff, they're a team that will shoot the three-pointer. They've attempted 60 more three-point shots this year than Wright State has, and they've been very productive at it, so you have to be able to get back to the arc.
Senior from Chicago Heights puts the Vikings in the lead. Here's the baseline J. It's a little short. Keon, the strong rebound and a foul.
Good backside offensive rebound by Keon that time. He and Thad Burton both crashing the glass on the backside off the long rebound. Sherman again, good elevation. A little too much rim that time. Keon, nice board.
Carter Arnett guilty of the foul, and Keon to the line, shooting 2. Brooks shooting just over 68% from the charity stripe this year, and bricks off the back.
Well, that time, Keon looked like he needed to move about 4 feet to the left. That ball was really off target.
See what the junior from Fort Wayne, Indiana does. It's a brick off the back and rebounded by Madison. So Keon doesn't get either.
Cleveland State, a team in physical size, is very indicative of the type of team that Raleigh Massimino will put on the size. Not a whole lot of size. You've got some bookends as Cleveland State turns it over again with the travel.
Theo Dixon with the walk. He did not have possession of the ball, tried to pick it up in his arms, and Wright State will get an opportunity to take the lead with 18:03 left to play first half.
Most teams that Raleigh Massimino will put on the floor will have guys medium range in height, but great athletes, anywhere from a 6'6" to 6'8" range. A good point guard, and he's been able to put that together here for Cleveland State.
Keon feeds for Burton, and Keon will trigger the three, and he'll knock it down. Keon Brooks, the junior from Fort Wayne, Indiana, puts his team in the lead, 7-5. Cleveland State down by 2. Feed to Bowens, baseline double teamed. He'll kick it out.
Good help that time by Steno, coming over on the weak side, helping defensively, cutting off the baseline penetration.
The feed goes back to James Madison. He'll trigger the long three, and it's short, and Keon comes up with the rebound.
Boy, the thing about Madison, he took a deep three and just made it look so easy, effortless on the shot.
Keon thought about the three. Parton will set up the offense. The feed down low to Thad Burton, and he was fouled on the way up by Madison. Oh, they found the trailer right there in Thad Burton, so he'll head to the line, and he'll get a couple opportunities to score right here with 16:58 left to play first half.
Again, really looking to get the ball inside. Sherman, nice pass. Good movement that time, making himself available for the basketball and working when he doesn't have the ball. Good job that time by Thad.
Burton no good, and the Raiders 0 for 3 from the line so far tonight. Thad, a 65% shooter from the charity stripe, needs to make 1 of 2 right here. And a lane violation on Sherman Curry, and it's a turnover, and Cleveland State will take possession.
Well, and that time Sherman Curry jockeying a little bit with the Cleveland State player immediately to his right on the lane. That time just a little too much intensity. Jumped into the lane, Thad, and knocked the shot down. Obviously, it's not going to count.
Madison, the long three, he'll knock it down.
Boy, the kid's got a sweet touch from the arc. You really have to know where he's at and be able to recover.
It's 8-7, and Cleveland State gets a turnover. Some mishandling down the court by the Raiders, and the Vikings come up with it as they lead by 1. Carter Arnett over for Dixon. He'll trigger the three, and he will leave it short. Thad Burton the rebound. Up ahead, Keon Brooks comes back to Brandon Parton. Risky toss, but a necessary one.
Good try that time to get the ball out front to Keon. Keon making a nice decision not to force a shot, get it back out top, reset the offense, and let the troops gather at this end.
Keon, the feed underneath for Thad Burton. Slam dunk! Raiders lead it 9-8.
Well, and Wright State really looking to get the ball inside here in the first half. Thad doing a great job of working without the basketball. That's what will make him a much, much better player. If he makes himself available, gets in the lane, he's got guys who can feed him the basketball.
4 points for the big man. Here's the long three, and it's long this time, and Keon Brooks the rebound. Madison really likes to go long distance. Harden, baseline, rebuffed.
Good decision by Brandon that time. He's really growing as a player as this year goes by. Earlier in the year, as Sherman takes a bad shot, gets it off the side of the glass.
Dixon to Madison for three. He'll knock it down. James Madison early on is on fire. He has 6 points, and it's 11-9 Cleveland State.
Madison's a guy that if you're in a zone, you almost cannot afford to leave him alone. You have to be able to recover to him on the arc because he's proven so far tonight that his range is almost unlimited and his accuracy is very good as well.
Keon, baseline, double team, feeds underneath and taken away. Madison, 2-on-1 break, feeds the other way. Here's the rally the other way, and Theo Dixon scores. It's 13-9.
Very, very well coached basketball team. You can see it right there with the decision to put it into transition. You had the numbers.
A foul call.
Steno that time doing a good job holding the basketball up above his head, being strong when he draws the foul.
Theo Dixon the foul, but we've got an official timeout. We'll keep things right here as we allow public address announcer Gordon Wise to tell you more about what's going on here on Fairborn night. Given the turn of events here in this first half early on, and mind you, 5.5 minutes is a little early to tell. Right now, it's just a game of hustle, and Cleveland State is winning that one.
Well, and James Madison so far, they shot the Cleveland State Vikings to this early 4-point lead. 3 of 6 from behind the three-point arc. Madison 2 of 4 individually for 6 points. He's the guy we mentioned at the top. You have to be able to account for him on the defensive end of the floor, and so far the Raiders haven't been up to that task.
Harden up high for Koss, and they'll set up the offense. Rush 35. Harden the thumbs up. 2-3 zone defense. Harden for Koss. Low block, puts it up, and no good. The rebound for that. Burns strong to the hoop and in. Matt Burton has 6 points, and the Raiders come back to within 2.
Big offensive rebound right there by Thad. Clearing some space in the paint, making Cleveland State deal with him. They're playing a little bit of a gimmick defense, a box and one, chasing Keon around the floor, and Thad doing a nice job of recognizing that and getting on the glass.
And a nice defensive play by the big man as Brandon Parton comes across the timeline. The feed underneath the Koss and taken away by Cleveland State. Melvin McKee into the ballgame now, he with the goggles. Here's the shot from the baseline in. A shot for 2 from Michael Bowens, and it's 15-11 with 13:24 left to play first half.
Well, Cleveland State has proven that they're going to put the ball up. They're not afraid. They're going to work it around. They're good in transition. Everybody can handle the basketball. Everybody can pass it, and then they can convert. That, again, too strong in the middle.
Foul's going to be charged to Steve Bowie, also into the game for the first time.
Bowie makes the cardinal sin of getting behind Thad. When you get on his backside, there's almost nothing you can do there. He's just trying to fight him. You can see it. Thad doing a good job of realizing he had him on his back, stayed strong, got the pass.
Burton in the lane, no good, off the front, and here comes McKee. Pepper pot guard, feeds underneath. And we've got a foul underneath. Looks like it's going to be on Burton.
Well, in Cleveland State, they're going to run a lot of people into the game now. We've got Anthony Jackson now checking into the ball game. And again, these guys are they're bookend type players. About 6'5", 6'6". Too easy right there. Thad's got to get around. He's got to get a little bit of help. Once you allow the ball into the middle like that, you're almost doomed to a foul or have to back off and not play very tough defense. So
foul is on Steno Koss, who came around on that help defense. As the first free throw, no good. From number 0, Anthony Jackson, a 6'7" freshman out of Akron. 1 of 2.
The Raiders, it actually works out pretty well right there. Anthony Jackson, a 52% free throw shooter. Had a pretty good shot. The Raiders pick up the foul, but he only makes 1 of 2.
Curry up high for Keon Brooks, looking for penetration. Keelan has it taken away by McKee. 2-on-1 break. Madison to the hole. Yes. James Madison, Mr. Everything. He has 8 points, and it's 18-11.
Well, if you allow him to play that kind of game, he's a guy who's predominantly a stand-up shooter, but you allow him to get into transition, he's proven he can take it. As Thad takes it right back. Nice block on the inside that time. Good defense by Cleveland State. You can see they're really starting to feel the emotion of the basketball game, build some confidence on both ends of the floor. Not a good look early in this game for the Wright State Raiders, down 7.
Melvin McKee at the point, the 5'10 junior out of New York. McKee in traffic and has it poked away, but regains it. He's out of bounds, or did he call the timeout? It is out of bounds. Nice defense by the big man, Steno Koss.
Steno doing a nice job, as you mentioned, on the defensive end, coming around the top, getting a hand in the pass, and then McKee got stuck in the corner, nowhere to go.
Keon to the hole, count it. No, wave off the basket. Keon in pretty good position, but it's against him.
That's a product of going with a somewhat smaller lineup. When you've got guys who are, your forwards are 6'6", 6'7", able to move the feet a little bit more than maybe a 6'8", 6'9" guy would, makes it very difficult for offensive teams when they take it to the hole. When they've got quickness in there, Cleveland State jumps in, takes the charge.
Carter Arnett, Melvin McKee. Pulls up, Arnett up high, and here's the trigger from the right side in. Steve Bowie, the junior out of Cleveland, has the deuce, and it's 20-11.
Cleveland State, Jeff, coming into this game at 10-12 overall, 4-6 in the conference. Early in this game, they don't give you the impression of being a team with a sub-500 record. Very, very good-looking team here in the first half.
They have played a lot better as of late, and thanks to Mr. Madison up high. Guarding Keon, or rather Brandon Parton. The feed to Steno Koss, puts it up in. Nice look from the big man.
Well, a little patience for the Raiders as well. Cleveland State on the offensive end has been able to show a lot of patience, work the ball around, get it to the open man.
Madison for 3, and
That's
it's
not
short.
the man you want open right there.
Nothing on the stick back. Here's the follow-up. No good. Jackson and a foul.
Anthony Jackson doing a great job on the offensive glass. Quick jumper, able to get up quicker than the inside people. Steno Koss, Thad Burton doing a nice job, but he draws the foul over the back.
We've got a timeout on court with 11:07 left to play first half. It's 20-13 Cleveland State, and we'll be back in just a moment. With 11:07 left to play first half, it's 20-13 in favor of Cleveland State, and Mark, balanced scoring from the Vikings so far.
Well, and that's what you're going to see from a Raleigh Massimino team. He's not going to have one guy predominantly who does all the scoring. He's going to have 5 guys who work together. They get into transition when the plays are available. They don't take bad shots. That's exactly what they've done so far here tonight. Cleveland State 62% from the field, 43 from behind the three-point arc. So doing a nice job on the offensive end, putting a lot of pressure on the Raiders.
As they say, that is getting it done. Speaking of James Madison, who leads the way with 8 points, the report that we had on him in watching the UD game from last week, he doesn't have a lot of size or speed, or rather quickness, if you will. But, you would have us fooled by watching him play tonight. A good stand-up shooter, as you've mentioned, Mark, but he's able to take it to the hole, too.
Well, Madison is one of those guys who the athletic ability, the raw athletic ability maybe isn't there, but he's a basketball player. He just does the little things he has to do. He anticipates where he needs to spot up out on the floor. He gets himself wide open shots. He's got a quick release, and when he gets his shot off, he's very, very deadly, as we've seen so far tonight.
Ed Schilling's ball club now has a couple newcomers. It's Bruno Petersons out of West Chicago, Illinois, and Steve Yeago, who now gets the ball out of Minford. Thad Burton, double team, triple teamed, and taken away. Madison up ahead, out of bounds, turned back over to Wright State.
Good defensive intensity that time by Cleveland State. Madison almost gets his hand on the ball, keeps it in bounds, but knocks it out. Cleveland State now going with somewhat of a box and one type gimmick defense. They've got little Melvin McKee teamed up on Keon Brooks, trying to deny him the basketball, something that I don't think anybody's done with Wright State so far this year, so hopefully the Raiders can react to it. But that time Steve Yeago just throwing the ball out of bounds.
Well, they botched up the pick and roll play because Thad Burton was open, but nowhere to be found was the ball. Here comes the Vikings. Here comes Melvin McKee.
9 turnovers already early in this basketball game for the Raiders. That's a number you have to cut down on. I don't care if you're playing a team that's 1-20. If you're going to turn the ball over at that kind of a rate, you're going to lose basketball games.
McKee with the ball with 19 on the shot clock. Kick off. Keon Brooks and a fresh 35 coming up.
We talked a lot of times about early in the year, you schedule some people that are strong. Yeah, you might get beat, but it'll make you a better team. And Cleveland State epitomizes that to the T. The first games they played this year, Alabama, Birmingham, at Michigan, at Georgetown. A little bit of a break at Kent State, come right back with Michigan State and Colorado State. So they've trained for the conference season very well.
Airball Arnett. Follow-up, yes. Carter Arnett, the big man underneath from Overland Park, Kansas, has the deuce, and it's 22-13. Well, goes back to an old axiom I learned when I was a wrestler in high school. Whatever doesn't kill you will make you stronger.
That's exactly right. Cleveland State has really come on late in the year as Bruno throws the basketball away. 10 turnovers now for the Raiders. Normally in a game you want to stay somewhere in the 15 turnover range, 15 or lower. At this rate, the Raiders are going to have 20 at halftime.
And we've got a timeout charge to Wright State. We'll keep things right here as Ed Stilling wants to talk things on over. Tough going, and right now, you had mentioned 10 turnovers, but the Raiders shooting well, so long as they take care of the ball, they can stay in this ball game.
Well, that's the silver lining to this dark cloud early in this ball game. The Raiders shooting 55% on 6 of 11 from the field. If it weren't for that, coupled with the 10 turnovers, we'd be looking at a serious deficit right now. Not that we aren't already with a 9-point lead for Cleveland State with 9 minutes and 43 seconds left. The Raiders just need to regroup. Offensively, they're getting absolutely nothing done. And I think what's happening is they're looking for Keon, and Keon's not there. He's being denied the basketball, so they have to take all their options that they have, look to the next option in the progression of their offense, and just make other things happen.
James Madison calling for it, backing his way against Brandon Harden. Right wing over from Michael Bowens. He'll trigger the three, and he'll knock it down. Michael Bowens, the 6'6 senior out of Chicago Heights, puts his team ahead 25-13, the biggest lead so far for the Vikings. Unbelievable.
Early in this game, they're getting it done both ends of the floor, inside and out. Cleveland State showing a lot here early in this ball game.
Brooks, Jay, up, and no good. Everything but the basket. The volleyball match underneath, and the foul on Keon Brooks.
That time Keon thought he could get away with a little bit of a shove, but the referee's right on top of it, blew the whistle. Everybody getting after the basketball. You see just at the last minute, a little bit of push off with the left arm. Keon gets whistled for the foul.
A couple fouls now on Keon, the 13th foul for the Raiders. Bowens behind the arc, over from Madison. They have shot the three well here early in the ball game.
The Raiders now at the other end of the floor, also with a little bit of a gimmick defense. Brandon Parton going strong on Madison, trying to check him as Bowens again gets another 3-shot off that with the strong rebound.
Here's Keon trying to get his team back in sync. Raiders down 12, 25-13. We've got 8:27 left to play first half. Harden to the hoop, yes. Nice little running one-hander from the freshman from Middle Point.
Well, and that's what eliminates pressure from Keon. The other guard has got to be an offensive threat. Brandon at times, as Bruno draws the foul, got to play defense with the feet. And that's what the smaller, quicker players will do to your big guys. Bruno at 7'1". Cleveland State, I think, probably with the biggest player on the floor, maybe at 6'7", going right around him. Bruno's got to play more defense with the feet, not reach and try and block shots.
Carter Arnett, he comes in as their center, moved with the ball pretty good. His first attempt is up and in through the netting. Shooting 68% from the charity stripe coming into this one, 1 for 1.
Cleveland State as a team 66% from the free throw stripe, so not a great shooting team from the free throw line, but they're adequate.
Arnett, second, it's an air ball out of bounds, and the Wright State will take on over. How do you, now, I don't know how things go in practice, but I got to tell you, putting up an air ball on a free throw has got to be a cardinal sin.
Well, the free throw shooting is nothing but concentration. And as you practice it, you've got to shoot it the same way each time so it becomes something that you memorize physically. And that time, just lack of concentration for Carter Arnett draws the air ball.
Keon Brooks, the wild shot. Michael Bowens thought about the three. Now we'll pass it back. Looking around, trying to find the man underneath. And Steve Bowie to the hoop, yes.
Bruno in that situation has got to be stronger in his body-up defense down on the block. He just continued to give ground. Bowie just continued to back him up. Bruno's got to be stronger there. He's got to get his position. He's got to be able to maintain it.
Raiders got to watch out or else they'll be blown out of their home gym. Keon with the ball, head of the key. Brandon Parton thought about three. Guarded by Keldrick Brooks. The feed to Thad Burton. Off glass. No good. Everything but the basket.
Cleveland State, you got to be impressed with their defense. A lot of pressure out on the floor as they try to run it in transition but turn the basketball over.
Nice play by Steve Yeagle. Here's Brandon Parton, left wing. Baseline move, puts it up. He was hacked, and hacked heavy. We have an intentional here.
Yeah, we've got an intentional foul. That's one of those situations where Brandon just decided to take it strong. Got a little shove, a little playground basketball. Sending a little message right there. Don't bring that stuff in here, little man. And, you know, I'm sure Brandon's a guy. There you see it right there. It looks like he got caught in between steps is actually what happened. I think it looked a lot more intentional than maybe it was. The Cleveland State player was thinking, do I try to block it? Do I just try to step in? And got stuck in between steps. And Brandon was in the air as Brandon misses the first of two free throws.
Theo Dixon guilty of the foul, team sixth so far here in this first half. Brandon shooting 80.5% from the charity stripe on the year. Raiders down 13. All net. And we've got a timeout on court with 6:50 left to play in this first half. And the Cleveland State Vikings really taking it to the Wright State Raiders by a score of 28-16. And we'll be back in just a moment. With 6:50 left to play first half, it's a 28-16 ball game in favor of the Cleveland State Vikings. And right now, some balanced shooting for the Vikings. James Madison and Michael Bowens each with 8 points, and they collectively lead the way in scoring in this one.
Well, and what they've done is they've shot well from the outside, and they've put all the pressure in the world on the Raiders, and the Raiders just haven't responded. When they get a shot, they're shooting 46% from the field, and when they don't, they've turned the ball over 10 times early in this first half with just under 7 minutes. That's a lot of turnovers. When you can't take care of the basketball, which has been a problem that has plagued the Raiders throughout the year, when a team shoots well and is efficient on the offensive end, you're going to find yourself in the hole.
Now, unless the Raiders go on some kind of miracle run here in the final 6:50 here in the first half, they're not going to tie things up, and they're going to go into the locker room behind. What do you do to break down the deficit?
Well, what the Raiders need to do is they need to understand that, you know, we've got 26 and a half minutes, just almost 27 minutes left in this game. Let's just get it back piece by piece. If we try to get it back in a hurry, we're really going to get blown out. So they've got to show some patience here for the rest of this first half.
Ryan Gross, the redshirt freshman from Norwalk, into this ballgame. He gets the ball. He's been quite a spark as of late. Here's the shot put up. It's partially blocked, and here come the Vikings.
Really impressed with the athleticism of Cleveland State. Getting after the defensive end of the floor. They're blocking a lot of shots. They get on the offensive glass.
Steve Yeagle the rebound after the stick-back attempt from Javon Jefferson. Hard pick-and-roll setup. Nothing doing. Gross up on high. Here's Keon Brooks. Baseline move, rebuffed, and taken away by Cleveland State. Michael Bowens underneath. Here's Dixon. Pulls it up from 12. No good. Hard off the glass and really nowhere near the basket.
Wright State does not want to be in this run-and-gun game with Cleveland State. Too many athletes for Raleigh Massimino's Viking ball club. They've got to just bring it down, set it up, run their offense. If you execute, you'll get what you want.
Brooks puts it up. No good. And the rebound to Theo Dixon. And a little timeout out on the floor. It looks like Dixon may have been poked in the eye. So while we await to find out, Dixon might check out of the game, or will he stay? He'll get the ball in any case.
Blessing in disguise, I'm sure, for the rest of these 9 guys out on the floor. Tempo's really picked up the last couple minutes, running up and down the floor. A lot of guys grabbing their shorts and tugging at to get every breath. So nice little break for him there.
Melvin McKee back at the point, back into the ball game. Big man trying to keep up. Here's Carter Arnett, and no good. Bruno Peterson's the rebound. A scramble for it. Madison comes up with it, but Bruno Peterson gets it back.
Well, these guys really get after the basketball. You got to like the intensity and the attitude of these guys. They're coming out saying, hey, we might be 10 and 14. Maybe we're going nowhere, but we're going to come out and we're going to play hard and we're going to beat you.
Baseline look, and we got a whistle. Was it a foul? It's going to be still a Wright State possession.
Wright State really having trouble getting their initial pass into their offense. What they've got to realize is when you get doubled out on the floor, you've got to attack the basket. You can't play out on the perimeter and throw the ball around. That's exactly what Cleveland State wants to happen. They're getting in passing lanes and double teaming people, so you've got to attack the basket. That's the weakness of this defense.
Brandon Parton guarded by Melvin McKee. Parton with 5 on the shot clock. Here's Sherman Curry. We'll have to pull it up. Puts it up off the front of the rim, but we've got a whistle.
Not a smart foul right there at all for Carter Arnett. Cleveland State doing a great job taking the 35-second clock down to under 5. Sherman Curry, he's a guy, you're not going to block his shot. With the elevation that he gets on that jump shot, you just need to get a hand up in his face and contest the shot. You're not going to block it.
Curry gets it on in, a 66% free throw shooter on the season. Carter Arnett, his second foul, team 7th, and at least they've kept the fouls pretty clean as Wright State has only committed 4 so far. Raiders trying to get this back to within 10. Curry, yes.
That's where you get out of a big hole. It starts right there at the free throw line. You got to knock down the freebies.
Melvin McKee back up on high for Jackson. Now they play it to James Madison. McKee. As Wright State shows a variation of a 1-2-2 as they bunch up towards the posts. Bowens, or rather, Javon Jefferson, no good, and we've got a whistle underneath. A lot of traffic down underneath the basket.
Cleveland State is simply cleaning the Raiders' clock when it comes to the glass. Offensively, they got guys who are a little bit smaller, but they're quick and they're quick jumpers, and they're difficult. It's difficult to get a read on these guys to box them out, but Bruno Peterson, Sherman Curry, Ryan Gross, when the ball goes up, you got to look to get a body. You can't allow Cleveland State to get in a position to get second shots.
Ryan Gross, his first foul, the team's 5th, and the first free throw missed at the line by Michael Bowens. Bowens, a 54% shooter from the charity stripe, puts it up and makes 1 of 2. 29-18, Raiders down 11. Harden feeds underneath for Sherman Curry, misses the dunk. He was blocked up on the way to the hole, and he should go to the line for this one. Major elevation from the junior.
Well, and the equal elevation on the other side, Cleveland State, you see Sherman going up strong, but Anthony Jackson answers, gets the block. Wright State maintains the possession as Ryan Gross with the head down, beating the air out of the ball, steps on the out-of-bounds line, and the pressure really paying off for Cleveland State. When you can get the opposing team to put the ball on the floor, turn their back to the basket, you've got them right where you want them. Ryan Gross that time lost all touch with where he was on the floor and stepped on the out-of-bounds line and turned it over.
Madison with the ball. Nearly had it poked away from Yeagle. Madison in the lane, puts it up, no good. And the foul call. Foul's going to be on Yeagle.
Well, that's a message right there from Madison to Steve Yeagle. You know, if you want to get up on me tight, not let me take the shot on the perimeter, I'll put it on the floor and put you at a big disadvantage, and that time Steve draws the foul. James Madison early in this game really showing a lot on the offensive end.
We've got a timeout on the floor. We're under 4 to play here in this first half. It's the Cleveland State Vikings 29, the Wright State Raiders 18, and we'll be back in just a moment. With 3:54 left to play here in this first half, it's a 29-18 ball game in favor of the Vikings, and really they've been in control since the get-go.
Well, they really have. They came out early in the game. They shot the ball extremely well. They're down to 44% from the field at this point, but early in the basketball game where they had to take control, Madison hits a couple big threes. Bowen goes out from behind the arc, hits 2 out of 3. So they built the lead early, and now their defense has really kept the lead for them, as now they still have an 11-point lead with 3 minutes 54 seconds left in the first half.
And it's been quite a matchup, really, when you think about it, between coaches. Even though he wasn't a head coach, Ed Schilling was with a #1 program with the University of Massachusetts. And, of course, Raleigh Massimino not getting that #1 during the regular season, but getting that #1 in the NC2A championship back some 14 years ago. In fact, he has one of his players from that team as an assistant coach, Harold Presley. And, of course, University of Dayton fans will remember what happened with him. Presley got the steal in that 85 opening round game to set up the winning shot. For Villanova, it was pretty much history after that.
Well, it was definitely a Cinderella story. Feels like it was just yesterday that they were playing at the UD Arena, came out, finished up in the final game, beating Georgetown in a game that would be remembered by a lot of people, especially Raleigh Massimino.
Madison for 3, and it's a little long. Sherman Curry, the rebound. Up ahead, Anomi Scotty Mokpor underneath and count it. Anomi Scotty Mokpor, the freshman out of East Lansing, just into the ball game, will get an opportunity for the old-fashioned 3.
Great kick in transition that time by Brandon Pardon. Kept his head up, saw the entire floor. Anome is a guy, he's not the greatest basketball player around, but if you can incorporate his athletic ability, his speed, his quickness, his jumping ability into his game, he's really a quality player in addition to your team. And there he takes it strong, knocks it down, goes to the free throw line, and buries the free throw for a 3-point play.
That should help the Raiders get some confidence back. They're down 8, 29-21. Madison, double team, back up on high for Bowens, and feeds the other way. The reverse back to Bowens, and Madison has it again. They're trying to set him up. Theo Dixon on over, back up on high for Jefferson, in.
Well, and that time simply a free throw. Penetration on the baseline. Thad Burton didn't get his foot on the baseline to cut the penetration. Kick it right back out for an easy free throw.
2-3 zone setup for Cleveland State on the outset. Gross. Back up on high, Pardon over for Sherman Curry, and he reverses back.
Cleveland State back to a conventional 2-3 defense now with Keon Brooks on the bench. They no longer play the box and one type zone defense.
Baseline J, Sherman Curry, yes.
Great patience that time by the Raiders. Kick the ball around the floor, get some penetration into the zone, make them commit, kick it out, get a good shot. Good patience, that's the way you beat a zone defense.
6 points from the junior from McWilliams, Alabama. Bowens thought about the 3, now keeps it on the baseline, now back up on high. Here's the long 3, and it's short for James Madison. Boy, he likes that long distance.
Well, he really does, and it's almost a standing 3-point shot. It's almost a set shot type thing, but you can see that he's got the range, but so far tonight he hasn't been able to measure up from the 3-point line.
Curry puts it up. Rainbow, yes. Sherman Curry has got the hot hand now. 8 points, and it's 31-25. Raiders closing the gap.
Sherman falling in love with the baseline here tonight. The high arcing shot drawing rain as it comes down. It's getting the Raiders back in the ballgame, down 6.
Bowens pulls up 3, no good, and Bowens gets the back tap. Puts it up, yes.
Pretty left hand that time by Bowens. Again, Cleveland State get too many touches on the offensive glass. The Raiders have to draw some body before they go for the rebound.
Thad Burton, yes. Nice answer back off the left low block for the big man. 8 points for him, and we're still within 6. Jackson trying to post up. Nowhere to go. Nearly has it taken away, but Dixon keeps it alive. Dixon strong to the hoop, and no good. Thad Burton the rebound. Brandon Pardon in traffic, no good, and we got a foul.
Brandon, pardon, there you see him, the 6'1" guard is Raleigh Massimino going to get a technical foul.
And a tee for Raleigh.
And if he keeps it up, he's going to get another one. He's extremely upset over on that Cleveland State bench. There we can see him front and center. And, yeah, tough call right there. He's got 3 of his defensive players seemingly with good position on the penetration by Brandon, but referees see it differently.
J.D. Collins, the head official, will have none of this, telling the guys to get back to the bench. So a tee on the head coach, and Raleigh's still at it. Oh, man, I'm telling you. It doesn't get much better than this.
Well, the referees, that's a little bit fun. The referees get caught up in it a little bit. They were going to have Wright State shoot the technical at Cleveland State's end of the floor. So, funny turn of events right there. And that shows that these guys are just human. They wanted to get away from Raleigh Massimino. They wanted nothing to do. They walked to the other end of the floor.
Brandon, yes. Little body English at the end there, and he gets it in. Taking a look at this one on the replay. Brandon, no. Brick off the front.
Tough call right there. You know, that's a situation where I'm glad I'm over here with the headsets and not out there with a striped shirt, because that's a very, very difficult call right there.
Well, to be honest, it looked like it could have gone either way, and I don't know what Raleigh Massimino has such a big beef about that one call. It looked very borderline, but either way.
Well, and the referees just need to take a deep breath here. You got a personal foul, a technical foul. Brandon shoots the foul shots. Now they're going to inbound the ball. Ed Schilling's saying, what about the technical foul?
Sure.
So referees will take a time. They'll get it back together. They're only human. Tough situation for them to be in. You got 2 benches of coaches screaming at you. You got the crowd going nuts, but you know, maybe that's the advantage of having a 3-man crew. You know, an extra person in there that can settle the crowd down. Now Brandon goes back to the free throw line to attempt 2 more.
Well, they don't ask how you do it. They just ask that you do. That's one of the calling cards here at Wright State. Raiders down by as many as 12 in this ball game, and now they're catching back up, and Brandon makes another free throw. Crowd egging him on, trying to get the support back to the Raiders' way. The momentum, Rainbow J, no.
Every time Brandon has gone to the free throw line, he's made his first shot, and he's kind of short-armed the second one. You know, he looks like he's pulling back a little bit. Maybe he gets a different feel when he shoots the first one, but he's got to go up there with confidence and shoot it the same way every time.
Raiders down 4 and the ball in their possession. The feed underneath. Sherman Curry, yes! And the Raiders down, back within 2.
A lot of credit has to go to the Raiders. They've really struggled back here in the final minutes of this first half to be down 2 with under a minute left.
Keeping around the arc, and now a baseline look. McKee back up on high for Bowens. This one nearly deflected away. Bowens puts up a J, no good, and the Raiders have an opportunity to tie with 39 seconds left to play first half.
Plenty of time for a good shot right here as Brandon picks up his dribble. Cardinal sin.
McKee to the hoop, yes.
That's a cardinal sin of a guard when you bring the ball up the floor. When you pick up your dribble and you don't know what you're going to do with the ball, you're a man on an island. That time he got stuck.
The feed to a cutter and Anomi Scotty Makor, and simply Anomi could not get there. And a timeout charge to Cleveland State will keep things right here with 17.4 seconds left to play first half.
Raleigh Massimino, good timeout right there. You know, I'm sure his team got caught up in the technical foul, all the intensity of that. Now he's got him in a situation where he can say, okay, guys, look, you know, we had the double-digit lead. It's gone. We got 17 seconds left in the first half. We still got a 4-point lead. Let's get a good shot here at the end of the first half, take it in the locker room on a positive note, and be done with all the other stuff. So good timeout that time by Raleigh Massimino.
Somewhat of a necessary one, and the Raiders have come back in a big hurry. Sherman Curry now leading the way for the Raiders. 10 points on 4 of 7 shooting. So he's been quite the catalyst here in the first half for Wright State. And since now they're back to within 4, that's really helped their cause. Cleveland State playing for the final shot.
James Madison's checked back into the game. Hopefully the Raiders have recognized that and know that they have to be able to get back to him.
Madison puts it up from 15. No good. Thad Burton the rebound. with 0.7 of a second left, and he was fouled.
Anthony Jackson that time going for the offensive board. Got a little bit of a hip into Thad Burton. Thad going to get a gift here with under a second left, 0.7 of a second left. Thad going to go to the free throw line. And Wright State shooting the double bonus, 10 fouls now in the first half. So, again, a gift for Thad Burton. Hopefully he can go to the free throw line and take advantage of it. 65% from the stripe on the year.
Thad puts it up. Yes, all net. Burton missed on his previous attempt. So far, 1 for 2, looking for 2 for 3, and looking to put the Raiders within 2. Yes, and they are. 35-33, up ahead. Madison cleared, no good. It's off glass, and this half has come to a close. We're at intermission, and the Cleveland State Vikings holding on to the lead. It's 35-33. Halftime festivities coming on up, and we'll be back in just a moment. (35-33) is the score here at halftime with Mark Vest. I'm Geoff Kim. Thanks for joining us on Media One, and some halftime stats to go down through.
Well, for the Cleveland State Vikings, they shoot 41% from the field, 14 out of 34. 4 for 13 from behind the three-point arc for 31%, 3 out of 6 from the free throw line for 50%, for a total points of 35 in the first half, 16 rebounds, and 6 turnovers. For the Wright State Raiders, they shot 52.2% from the field in the first half on 12 of 23 shooting, 1 of 2 from behind the three-point arc for 50%, 8 of 14 from the free throw line, 57%. Total rebounds for the Raiders, 16 as well, but the telling stat, and they're very lucky to be in this basketball game, only down 2, 15 turnovers in the first half. So the Raiders very, very lucky that they shot 52% from the floor when they have 15 turnovers. Cleveland State on the other side of the coin doing a nice job taking care of the basketball with only 6 turnovers in that first half.
And of course, along with 2 blocks and 9 steals, that's really getting the job done. Leading scorer in the ball game, Michael Bowens for Cleveland State, 11 points. And for Wright State, a pair of them in double figures, Sherman Curry and Thad Burton. And Mark, you know what that tells me? That tells me pounded inside to the big guys.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Sherman has come on so many times this year when Keon has been held in check. And so far in this ball game, Keon with 3 points. When teams are able to contain him, somebody's got to step forward. More often than not, it's been Sherman. And Sherman with a good elevation on the jumper, able to get the shot off. Cleveland State doing a nice job coming after him, blocked a couple shots. But as we mentioned, Sherman doing a nice job with 10 points in the first half.
Theo Dixon will inbound here at half court to get things underway here in the second half. And it'll be to James Madison, and we're back underway. Guarded by Brandon Parton. Madison feeds inside. Bowens on over to the wingman. No good. It's out of bounds. Or is it a foul on Wright State? It's out of bounds.
Partially blocked that time by Thad Burton. Nice job of jumping out on the shooter. Cleveland State doing a good job of working into the paint, draw the defense, kick it back out. But Thad doing a nice job of being able to react to the shooter and getting a hand up.
Carter Arnett was the trigger. Raiders down by 2, 35-33. Brandon Parton on the wing. Keon now has it. Really sat down a lot here in that first half.
Well, he really did. Cleveland State has gone back to just a 2-3 zone defense, a lot of matchup when Keon gets the ball just to make sure they can account for him.
Parton on over for Steno Koss. Now the feed underneath, and it's taken away by Cleveland State. Here they come, and showtime! A big two-handed slam by Steve Bowie.
At the other end of the floor, that was created by Brandon Parton's got to look to shoot the basketball. He had a wide open shot. They'd run a lot of time off the 35-second clock, but he looks to Steno out on the arc. Brandon's got to look to score.
Last touched underneath by Steve Bowie, and 21 on the shot clock for Wright State. They're down 4. We're just a minute underway here in the second half. Koss back up on high for Brooks. 2-3 zone setup. 2-guard offense as they rotate back and forth, and now put Curry into the mix.
Well, the Raiders really look confused against this zone. Keon gets a jump shot on the baseline. Thad goes strong for the offensive glass, but unable to get it.
Arnett picks it up. Madison strong to the hoop, puts it up, no good. Everything but the basket, and here comes the Raiders.
Madison really struggling on the offensive end of the floor. Shot not getting a roll. Sherman comes right back, picks up where he left off in the first half. Now Sherman with 12 points. He's really been the offensive catalyst here tonight for Ed Schilling.
37-35, 18-15 left ball game. Carter Arnett on over for Bowens, or check that. Yes, it is Bowens. Feet underneath for Arnett. In the paint, puts it up. Yes, off the glass.
Carter Arnett that time, a lot of patience. He got the basketball. Thad Burton at 6'9". Sherman Curry stepping up at 6'6", but he took his time and got a nice shot off the glass.
The feed to Burton and taken away by Bowens. And up ahead for Madison. He'll take this one home himself.
Raiders getting killed in transition. When they turn the basketball over, Cleveland State gets the ball and they immediately look up the floor. Their guards are releasing that time. Madison, easy layup.
Harden with the ball. Raiders down 41-35. A couple transition baskets by Cleveland State have really kind of put a difference here on the second half. Steno on over for Pardon. The feed to the block and back out around.
Shot clock at 7.
Keon over for Pardon. He'll trigger the long three, and it's a little long. And a tie-up and a walk. Steve Bowie the walk, and the Cleveland State bench not happy about it at all.
A lot of contact on that rebound that time. Referees, so far tonight, they've let a lot of things go. It's been a very physical game. It's been a quick-moving game on the inside. There you see Raleigh Massimino. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand what's in that man's mind right now, but you know, he's always been the type of coach who wears his heart on his sleeve, and you always know where he's coming from. A lot of intensity on the sideline.
Well, we have a phrase for what he is. Here's the back door. Keon, and rebuffed. Raiders keep in possession. Off glass, no good. The follow, no good. And still, Keon fighting for it, has possession. Thad Burton to Sherman Curry. It's out of bounds, and the Raiders will keep possession. My last thought on the head coach, Raleigh Massimino. There's a thought on what that is, and it's called worth the price of admission.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And, you know, that kind of intensity and enthusiasm rubs off on your players, and you can see it on the Cleveland State team. Everybody that gets on the floor plays with 110% intensity, and you know, it rubs off from the coach. He's always been a great leader. He's always had that kind of mentality on the sideline, so very tenacious.
Harden, backdoor slam dunk! Sherman Curry, and the crowd likes it.
Cleveland State got lulled to sleep that time. The Raiders have been doing so much just idle passing around the perimeter against the zone. That time the Raiders doing a nice job of getting the back door.
Harden to the hoop. Block, Koss follow, no good, and Cleveland State comes away with it. Now Keon gets it back, and a little one-handed slam.
Raiders back within 2.
You gotta like that. It's 41-39, 15-49 left to play first, or rather into the ball game. Bowens. James Madison puts it on the floor. Thought about the shot, and now Bowie has it. Finger roll, no good, and Thad Burton the strong rebound.
Strong move that time by Bowie. Took it strong to the glass. Little too strong, though.
Oh, nice pass to Keon Brooks. Feed underneath for Steno. Koss puts it up, no good.
Nice little handoff that time by Keon. Steno doing a good job rolling off the screen, making himself available for the basketball, getting his hands up ready to catch it. And when he got it, he took it strong. Nice little half pick and roll that time. Steno, good patience. Gathered the ball, bobbled it a little bit, got his composure back, and took it up strong. Goes to the free throw line for 2.
Steno, a 49% shooter from the charity stripe, puts it up, and it's a brick off the back.
49% from the free throw stripe, something that Steno, you know, if there's any way to improve that, you know, he can only get better, but that's something. Big games, you got to have the free throw stripe, and he misses both.
He gets neither. It's out of bounds, and last it was on Keon Brooks, or so they say. And we've got an official timeout with 15:21 left to play in the ball game, and we will keep things right here as we continue to celebrate through Fairborn night. And of course, once again, Gordon Wise taking us through this second timeout. Raiders 2-point game here with 15:21 left to play ball game, and really it's been back and forth. There has been no consistency, very ebb and tide.
Well, it really has been. Both of these teams really fighting to control the tempo of this basketball game. The Raiders would rather pound the ball down inside, take some time, shorten the game. Cleveland State on the other side of the coin, they want to run it up and down. They want high tempo. They want to get out in transition. James Madison has tried to get it out in transition. He's not been very effective from behind the three-point arc, so they've tried to get it off the glass and run. And, you know, both teams, for what they've tried to do, have been fairly successful now with just a little bit over 15 minutes left in the game. 41-39 lead for Cleveland State.
Harden, baseline three. It's a little long. Thad Burton, his 10th rebound. Curry, move to the basket. We've got a whistle.
I believe we're going to get a little shove on Thad Burton. Fight for position, that's the thing that's going to happen. You know, those kind of calls are going to come and go your way. And Thad, he's a body, he's a banger. He's got to get in there and create some space for himself, and he draws the foul. Hopefully now he realizes, hey, the referees are going to call that. I got to back off a little bit, play with a little bit more finesse.
Something of a 1-2-2 zone for Wright State. That was effective in their last game against Butler. Here's Theo Dixon, no good, and Keon Brooks a strong rebound. Dashing to his way, now finds Brandon Parton from 18, yes, and we're tied at 41.
Well, and I talked about it in the first half. It takes so much pressure off of Keon Brooks if Brandon Parton is a scoring threat. Last two times down the floor, Brandon has taken shots. He's knocked down 1 out of 2. He's a guy who can score, and just needs to look to be a threat.
Check that, it was a 3, and the Raiders have the lead, 42-41. Here's the answer back from Bowens.
Steve Bowie with a nice little kiss, half hook off the baseline.
(43-42). We've got 14:04 left to play in the ball game. Here's Brandon Parton once again, coming alive here in the second half, and really his team needs him here at the point.
Cleveland State switching up defenses now. Go back to a conventional man-to-man defense. Just trying to keep Wright State off balance a little bit on the offensive end of the floor.
Steno stripped away.
Brandon with a nice little dish on the baseline, but Steno unable to come up with it.
Madison over for the waiter, and the kick out to Bowens for 3, and he'll knock it down. And the way it looked coming off his hand, that almost was too easy.
Well, textbook offense. You penetrate, you draw the defense, you kick it out to the open shooter, and he knocks it down.
Anomi Scotty Mockpour waiting to check into the ball game. Keon Brooks for Brandon Parton. Keon again with the ball, and they play the two-guard offense around the arc.
A lot of standing around for the Raiders. Against a quick Cleveland State team, you got to move, you got to set screens, you got to execute.
Keon for 3, he'll knock it down. Well, Brooks has come alive here in the second half. Give him 8 points, and it's 46-45. Raiders back to within 1.
Now you got to play defense. You got to come down. Brandon gets a hand on a basketball. James Madison, a little lackadaisical, but recovers. Now you got to stop Cleveland State.
Blocked away from Thad Burton, but Cleveland State regains. Bowens will trigger the 3, and he'll knock it down. Michael Bowens has 4 threes tonight.
You really have to like the enthusiasm and how much they really can stick to it with Wright State. Cleveland State doing a nice job every time. Wright State gets some momentum turned their way. Cleveland State comes back and knocks down a big 3.
Curry for 3, and it's a little long. Madison comes down with it. Racing, dashing up ahead, and a foul. A little loss of control going to the hoop, but Wright State in the mix of that.
Well, they created it on the offensive end of the floor. Sherman takes a 3-pointer, misses. Rebound comes long. Cleveland State strong, cleans the glass, brings it the length of the floor. Madison, predominantly known as a scorer, able to take it in transition, dish it off, and the Raiders foul. Theo Dixon, the 6'6 freshman, goes to the free throw line for 2.
Dixon, and that'll rattle home. Dixon shooting 76% from the charity stripe as Koss will exit, and Anomi Scotty Mockpour, the freshman from East Lansing, Michigan, checks on in.
Theo Dixon, as we mentioned, the 6'6 freshman, having a good inaugural season for Raleigh Massimino. 11 points a game, shooting 76% from behind the arc. So having a good year as the Raiders fighting each other for the basketball. Thad Burton, Brandon Parton, knock it out of bounds. You got to call each other off right there. Somebody's got to say it's my basketball and go ahead and take it. But
well, kudos on hustle, but lack of communication, well, you get a less than satisfactory grade.
Can't agree with you more. Both, those are the kind of things you'll take. Two of the players after the basketball are yours. So
steal. Here's Pardon up ahead for Curry, slam dunk. Oh my! Textbook play in transition for Wright State.
Brandon Parton, excellent in transition. He knew that he had a trailer. I'm sure Sherman Curry screaming out to Brandon, letting him know that he had him there. Dished it back for the dunk.
Keon knocked down, but no call. Arnett, paint, yes.
Big play right there. Carter Arnett, tough in the paint. The guy just takes his time, doesn't lose his poise. That's the second shot that he's knocked down. Takes a couple dribbles, gathers himself, and knocks it down.
Curry back up on high for Parton, dishing for Brooks. Three, no, short. And James Madison up with it. Over for Dixon. Thought about the three, keeps it in play. Madison trying to catch his breath. Bowens with the ball. This game has become very exciting, and we got a push in the paint. Contact down underneath with Keon Brooks and Michael Bowens.
Thad Burton that time trying to help Keon through the screen. Gets a little bit too much of a push and draws the foul.
We've got an official timeout with 10:46 left to play ball game. Cleveland State has a 5-point lead. It's 52-47, and we'll be back in just a moment. It's Fairborn night here at the Irvin J. Nutter Center, and the Raiders trying to please their fans. They've done a pretty good job, but behind by 5. It's 52-47.
Well, and they've allowed Cleveland State to get back into that up-tempo transition game where they've been so successful. They got a big lead in the first half by doing that. They've come out here in the second half and been able to build that lead back up to 5 with just a little bit under 11 minutes. So Raiders got to get back and control this basketball game.
With a little help from his friends, Sherman Curry leading the way for the Raiders with 16 points. The game high, however, to Cleveland State's Michael Bowens. He has 17. It has been a strong affair. Cleveland State entered this ball game not having won a game on the road in conference play, 0-5. They're looking to break that. But however, the other flip side here, Mark, is Raleigh Massimino, lifetime against the Raiders, 3-0.
Well, and he's just a quality coach. He's been there, he's seen it. He's been able to put together now during his second season. He's been able to put his type of team on the floor, and he's really starting to gel a pretty good squad here.
Bowens up on high for Madison. Boy, those two have played pretty well tonight. Dixon on over for Bowens on the rotation back, and then Madison has it. Keep it around the arc, and they're running some clock. Dixon.
Raiders back to a 2-3, actually a 1-2-2 defense. They've got Brandon out on the point.
Here's the open three, and it's long, and it's over the glass. It's turned over to Wright State.
Raiders dodge a bullet that time. Cleveland State came strong to the offensive glass. Ball bounces up over, touches the 35-second clock, so it'll be possession to Wright State.
Keon Brooks holding onto the ball. We now come up on 10 minutes to play here in this ball game. Pardon, Ryan Gross in the ball game for three, and it's short. Carter Arnett the rebound. Dixon. Spin dribble, baseline move, across the way. Madison, open three, long. And Brandon Parton comes away with it. In traffic, up ahead, Keon Brooks in the paint. For Ryan Gross, reverse J, yes, count it!
Excellent job by Ryan Gross, following up in transition. He kept running. A lot of times people will stand back and watch Keon create, but he realized that he had to keep moving, and he did that. He got himself open. There you see, cut right into the basket, hands up, available for the basketball, took it strong, finished. He goes to the free throw line for three-point play.
Carter Arnett guilty of the foul, and that old-fashioned three attempt coming up for Ryan Gross, shooting just 25% from the charity stripe, but to his credit, it's been in limited play. Number 0 comes back in, Anthony Jackson for Cleveland State. Out goes Michael, or rather Steve Bowie. And Gross will shoot the 1, try to bring his team back to within 2. He does. Ryan Gross, 3 points on the night from the freshman from Norwalk. It's 52-50.
Really have to be happy with the improvement of Ryan Gross now that he's got some playing time late in the year. He's really come in. He's taken huge advantage of the playing time that he's gotten from Ed Schilling.
Carter Arnett blocked away from Gross, but here's McKee over from Madison. Thought about the 3, now over back for McKee. Thought about the J, and will hold on to it with 10 on the shot clock. Madison, the long 3, it's long, and Thad Burton, or rather Ryan Gross, the rebound.
Madison really struggling from the 3-point arc.
Thad Burton, baseline, and a foul, and we head the other way, and Ed Schilling is living. Third foul on Thad Burton. And the Vikings take over on O.
Well, and Ed Schilling unhappy with that call for a minute, but it's redirect all that energy from the negative, turned into a positive as Cleveland State takes it right back down.
McKee misses the 3, and Thad Burton is 11th rebound.
Well, and those are the type of plays, the offensive foul at the other end, and now Keon with an offensive foul.
Keon can't believe what he just saw. McKee in perfect position, got the blocking call, got the charging call rather. And here we go.
Well, this is a situation here where Keon, you see he's dribbling right into 3 players. He needs to make a better decision, whether that's a block or a charge. He's taking the ball into somewhere where he doesn't have a whole lot of opportunity to do anything with it. Got to take a little more time, a little more patience with the basketball.
Bowens up on top. Over for Anthony Jackson, back for Bowens. Now McKee has it, driving, puts it up, back for Bowens. Looking to drive, baseline, off glass.
Tough looking shot right that time. Michael Bowens is really coming on, playing a big basketball game for Raleigh Massimino. Bowens now with 19 points on the night, 7 of 12 from the field, 4 of 7 from behind the 3-point arc. So having a pretty good basketball game on the offensive end of the floor.
54-50. Scotty Mockmore for Brandon Pardon. Wright State facing a man defense from the Vikings. Gross. Nowhere to go. 11 on the shot clock. Brooks will trigger the 3 and leave it short. Everything but the basket, and roll around, and last touch by Bowens.
Ryan Gross doing a good job getting up on the offensive glass. We're going to get a timeout on the floor, but Raiders doing a good job offensively. Ryan Gross following up on the glass.
We're under 8 to play, and the Vikings lead it 54-50, and we'll be back in just a moment. (54-50) here at the Irvin J. Nutter Center. Cleveland State came in here 5th in the conference with a 4-6 conference record. Wright State coming in 7th. And really, it all comes down to this. There's a few games left, and Wright State, if they can get some wins together, not only could they get a strong push into the tournament, but also raise their seed.
Well, no doubt about it. This is a time in the season where you really have to start thinking about going into the tournament on a positive note. You want to peak at the right time, and both of these teams looking pretty good. Cleveland State really impresses me so far here tonight, Jeff. Very athletic. They get the ball up and down the floor. They shoot it well. They spread it around. So, stranger things have happened. This is a team that could surprise some people in the tournament with their athleticism and the way they can get up and down the floor.
Well, as it stands right now, they would take on UIC if the tournament were to start tomorrow. And really, despite UIC's 8-2 record and 18-4 record overall, that might not be a team they want to face. And a foul underneath.
That time, Ryan Gross just battling for the position. Inbounds pass underneath their own basket. He was able to get into the paint, get around front of the defender. Tough play right there. Cleveland State, that player got to open up. You got to be able to see the ball, see your man, and cut off that flash cut. Ryan Gross, though, recognizing it was open, getting the big body in there, sitting down, getting the pass, and going to the free throw line.
And if you've noticed here, as we've gone through the season, Ryan has looked more and more confident in the field every single game. 5 points for the freshman out of Norwalk, and it's 54-52. McKee. Over for Bowens. Carter Arnett rebuffed. Nowhere to go. Bowens back around for McKee. Puts it in play. Baseline. The feed underneath for Arnett. Double team and off glass.
Carter Arnett, the 6'8 junior, really having a quality game for Raleigh Massimino. Getting it done in the paint. He's a guy, he gets in there, there's a lot of pressure, people doubling down and trapping on him, a lot of hands, a lot of slapping, but he stays strong and finishes.
Brandon Pardon leading at the point, his team down by 4, and really the Raiders have been hurting themselves more than anything, more than Cleveland State hurting them here in the last couple of minutes.
Well, the thing about Cleveland State on the defensive end of the floor, they don't allow you second shots, so you really have to make sure you get a good one.
Rose for 3, it's an air ball and a 35-second shot clock violation, or is it a foul? It's a foul on Brooks.
Well, Keon, that's a mistake. Keon's got to get out. They get an air ball. Cleveland State gets the rebound. Keon Brooks, now that's his 4th personal foul, Jeff. That's costly foul right there. That's something that has really plagued the Raiders all year. It's their key players picking up silly fouls.
Bowens for Dixon. Double teamed over for McKee. Back up on high for Bowens. Carter Arnett, the feed underneath for Jackson, off glass and in. And that's how they've made their living tonight, off the glass. Cleveland State leads it 58-52.
Raiders allowing that pass too deep down into the paint without even challenging the pass. And when you get it that far down, a good college player is going to finish it.
The J from Sherman Curry, no good, and Michael Bowens the rebound.
Nice patience by Melvin McKee. Realizes, hey, we've got the 6-point lead now. We'll bring it back down. We'll take some time. We'll get a good shot.
2-3 zone defense for Wright State. Now more or less than a man.
Melvin McKee, the 5'10 point guard, playing with a plastic mask. Looks like he's had a broken nose. Keon.
Here we go. Showtime.
It's Keon's game right there, turning defense into offense. Anticipated the cross-court pass, got a hand on it, and then went and got it and finished with the dunk.
Raiders down by 4, and we have a timeout out on the floor. Charge to Cleveland State, and we'll keep things right here. 16 points for Sherman Curry to lead the Raiders, but 19 for Michael Bowens, and clearly he has picked up where James Madison hasn't even come into play tonight.
Wow, and Bowens has been there when Raleigh Massimino needed him. Wright State to get a couple baskets strung together, start changing the momentum, swinging it their way. Bowens comes right back, answers with a big 3, get a shot in the paint. So it's been a big team effort for Cleveland State so far tonight. 19 points, as you mentioned, from Bowens. Madison, subpar performance for him, 4 out of 13 from the field, 10 points. So they've done a nice job of picking each other up.
Last time these two teams met, Madison had 26 points, including 7 threes. Here's a shot put up baseline. No good, and Key on the rebound. Harden pointing, looking. Ryan Gross.
A lot of pressure out on the perimeter by Cleveland State again, changing up the defenses.
And the whistle call.
Raleigh Massimino really has his team trained to where they can switch defenses on the fly, and that is so very difficult when you're playing offense, when every time you come down the floor, you're confronted with something different. Even more so that they've instituted the shot clocks. Back when I played, we didn't have a shot clock. You know, you could afford to have your point guard stand out there and get a feel for what's going on, but with the shot clock, you're not afforded that luxury.
Sherman Curry turnaround Jay off the rim, and the rebound.
Bad over the back. Tough shot by Sherman that time. Turnaround jumper, forced it up. Down 4 points with 4 minutes, 44 seconds left in the game. You can certainly find a better shot than that. There you see two Cleveland State players getting a body on Thad. I guarantee you they know, hey, this guy's 5th in the country in rebounding. You know, when you go through 22, 23 games and you're still averaging 11 points a game, it's not a fluke. You're a rebounder, so they realize they got to get a body on him and did a nice job that time.
Jackson, the front end of the one-on-one, will get the bonus try. Now, not to make fun of your old age here, Mark, I just can't believe there was a time where they didn't have a shot clock. Now you're going to tell me that they didn't have a three-point line either.
You know, a lot of people say, well, that's back when they didn't have enough electricity in the building to put another clock and there were some more light bulbs. But, yeah, it would have been something else that we would have had to worry about. You know, it's amazing how many things these players have to worry about now. You got the three-point line, you've got the shot clock, all these things. It's become much more a mental game than it used to be.
Open J taken by Ryan Gross, no good. Everything but the basket. And the Raiders down by 6. It's 60-54 with 4.5 to play ball game. Underneath. And the follow-up by Jackson. No good off glass. Bowens comes away with it, fresh 35.
Cleveland State just controlling the offensive glass that time. Sheer desire. You want the basketball, you go get it. 4 Cleveland State players in there fighting each other for the basketball.
McKee at the point. Madison. And knockdown, no call, and he knocks down the J.
I'm sure James Madison was starting to think, am I ever going to put the ball in the hole again? He's had a long drought, 5 out of 14 from the field, 2 out of 9 for the three-point arc.
Burton and a goaltend. Burton will get credit for the deuce, give him 12 points tonight. And we've got a timeout on floor. We're under 4 to play. The Vikings lead it by 6. It's 62-56, and we'll be back in just a moment. 3:43 left to play, and it's the home stretch, really, for this ball game. And the Raiders want to do something. They got to catch up. They're down 62-56.
Well, all night long, Cleveland State seemingly has been in control of this basketball game. They've always been able to come back when Wright State would have a surge and they'd get back in the basketball game, be down 2 or 3. Cleveland State would come back and answer with a big hoop. And Wright State at this point, with 3 minutes 43 seconds left in the game, they need to make their final charge right now, get back in the basketball game and get a lead.
That final charge may be led by Sherman Curry. 16 points off 7 of 13 shooting. And he's gotten some help. Thad Burton, 12 points, and 10 points poured in late from Keon Brooks. And he stepped up late, but he's also got 4 fouls.
Well, he really did. And the one foul that he just got was a very, very silly foul at the end of the floor. And, you know, those are the kind of things that really get you in trouble. Keon's a guy that, not just on the offensive end, but on the defensive end of the floor, as we saw a couple possessions ago where he got the tip and got the dunk. Keon's got to be on the basketball floor.
McKee, Madison. Up high. Back for McKee, the 2-guard offense set up on the outset.
Cleveland State now looking clock. Melvin McKee, they've got their ball handlers in the game, and they throw it away.
Madison out of bounds, tried to one-hand it like a wide receiver. Could not do so, and Ryan Gross will inbound 3/4 court.
Anthony Jackson that time. A little too much on the skip pass. It's easier to throw a skip pass overhead than to throw a chest pass. A little bit too much on it. They turn the basketball over.
Keon Brooks, far corner, looking to drive, pulls it up, stripped, it's on the floor, and Cleveland State recovers. Bowens picked it up.
A lot of hands defensively by Cleveland State. Keon trying to create, taking it on the dribble into the paint, but Cleveland State, a lot of people pinching down, helping out defensively to get the turnover.
Madison will trigger the 3, and it's short. Bowens to chase it down on the baseline.
Every loose ball.
That's where Cleveland State has won the game, in hustle.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. They've come out and they've just simply out-hustled Wright State. And when they have a lull, they come back down and get plays like that. James Madison takes it on the dribble. He struggled from the perimeter, but when he puts it on the floor, Keon taking a chance going for the steal. Madison makes him pay.
14 points for the sophomore guard out of Port Angeles, Washington. And it's 64-56. Gross, Keon Brooks, back up on high for Part. He'll trigger the 3, and he'll knock it down. And we're back to within 5.
Brendan Parton now with 11 points on the game. Big offensive performance for him. That's something in the future that we're going to need to see a lot more out of. He's a kid that can score the basketball. He needs to look to score as well as distribute.
The reigning high school Division IV Player of the Year, and it's not by accident. He did it twice. Picked off, McKee to the hoop, feeds, Jackson, paint, off the back end of the iron, and a foul.
Carter Arnett going to pick up the foul, going for the tip on the offensive glass, and that's the second time in as many games that Brandon Pardon. Here we'll see it. The rebound going up. Ryan Gross doing a nice job being strong, but again, Carter Arnett, nobody got a body on it. When people get that close into the paint, you allow them to jump and go for the rebound, good things are going to happen. But that time, luckily, Wright State gets the foul on Carter Arnett.
Fourth foul on Arnett, only the 15th foul of the half. Pardon feeds underneath Burton, and it's out of bounds, but it'll still be a Wright State possession. Bowens last touched it.
Michael Bowens, you mentioned, he coming across from the weak side, opened up, saw the lob coming in, got over, got a hand on it.
Burton, paint, puts it up, and no good. He gets the stick back, yes. Check that, it's Sherman Curry with the stick back, and it's 64-61.
Nice job, Pat, staying with it. Tipped the ball off the board, kept it alive, regained a possession, and knocked down the jumper.
Bowens, McKee, guarded by Pardon. This one coming down to the wire. We're coming up on a minute to play. McKee crossing it on over in the paint. Baseline, and a foul! A foul on Carter Arnett, and he is gone.
Carter Arnett that time saw the baseline open, put it on the floor. Tough place for a big man to be with a minute left in the game, a 3-point lead. You don't want your big guy putting it on the floor on the baseline.
Carter Arnett will exit with 9 points. Raiders down 3. We've got 61 seconds left to go, and nails are being bitten here at the Irvin J. Nutter Center.
Well, they really are. 64-61, and I can't remember the last lead that Wright State has had, if they've even had a lead here in the second half. Cleveland State has always been able to answer whatever kind of call Wright State comes with. And 3-point lead with 1 minute left. This is crunch time.
Harden. Keon Brooks up high, over for Sherman Curry, looking paint, puts up the running one-hander, no good, an air ball, and Bowens comes down with this.
About a 14-15 second differential on the shot clock, so Cleveland State can afford to run some clock.
Bowens looking around, still looking, and a timeout charge to Cleveland State. Bowens almost guilty of a 5-second count.
Well, and Cleveland State did that, number one, to avert a turnover, and number two, it really works out, but they're going to get a 20-second timeout. They run the 35 down to 22 seconds left, 35.7 on the game clock, so couldn't have happened at a better time or a better place for Raleigh Massimino. Right there in front of his bench, he hollers timeout. They avert the turnover. They're able to circle the wagons a little bit, get an offensive set drawn up, so you really have to give a lot of credit to Cleveland State. They've come into a tough place to play, and they've proven that, hey, we might not be a good road club for the year, but we're getting better, and we're going to come in here and beat you on your home floor.
Raleigh Massimino very livid, very excited as he chats with his players. And if you're Coach Schilling, Mark, what do you tell your players at this point, down 3?
Well, right now, what you don't want to do, you don't want to foul, because now they go to the 1 and bonus. You want to try and get a steal. They've got 22 seconds left. You got to keep it a 1-possession game. And Ryan Gross comes right out and fouls. We're going to go to the free throw line.
And this is not something you like here, because you have the opportunity here with the 1-1 to make it a 2-possession ball game.
Well, that's exactly right. Now the shot clock is essentially off with 34.9 on the game clock. You give them the opportunity to make it a 2-possession game. You go to the offensive end. If you don't score, it's over. So hopefully Anthony Jackson so far this year, 52%. So maybe they recognize, hey, if he gets it, he's the guy you want. But Raleigh Massimino says after that one's nothing but string music. He's the guy I want too. So
2-possession ball game. Jackson 4 or 5 from the line after that last free throw. And he gets them both.
Anthony Jackson kills them both. 52% on the year. Steps up, knocks them down.
Here's Pardon. Foot on the line.
Can't.
Picked up by Keon Brooks, and a foul on McKee. And the Raiders will get an opportunity to score with no time running on the clock.
Well, and Raleigh Massimino over on the sideline, tugging at whatever hair he's got left on his head, saying, Melvin, why? Why would you do that? But, it's very difficult when you know, you got a team that hustles, you're hard-nosed, you get after the basketball. That time he got just in a little bit bad position and drew the foul. But, you know, you can't say enough about the intensity that Cleveland State has shown here tonight. Come out on the road playing hard. This is a team that I think is going to have to be reckoned with in the tournament because there's so much parity in the MCC this year. Anybody can beat anybody. Cleveland State is as good a candidate as anybody.
Burton checks out, and Naomi Scotty Makpour in. Keon, the brick off the back, and the rebound, and the foul by Ryan Gross. Steve Bowie had a hand on it, and he was taken away.
Well, and I think that sound that you hear is the wind going out of the sails right there. Big miss for Keon. Could have gotten it back to make them both 66-63. You're back down to one possession, 25.5 seconds. You know, not too far out of the realm of possibility, but now you turn the table. Now you're looking at 5-point deficit. Now could essentially be 7. You know, now you're looking at 3 possessions.
And that, with this much amount of time, would essentially be insurmountable. Bowie at the line, 1-1, and he'll knock down the first. And that has been the name of the game here in the last minute. A couple free throws by Anthony Jackson, one here by Steve Bowie, and now we've got a 3-possession ball game.
Makings of a quality basketball team right there. You know, you get yourself in a position to win, you get to the final minute, and you knock down your free throws.
Harden for 3, knock it down! And a timeout charge to Wright State. It's 68-64. And these cardiac kids, as it were, it's not over yet.
No, it's really not. You know, now you're 20.7 seconds, you're down 4. Now is where you think back to, boy, the missed free throws. You know, if we would have just made those free throws, we'd have been in a whole different situation. You know, now you're at 2 possessions. You got to think 2 possessions here. You can't just make a play for this offensive possession. You got to look ahead. Makes it very difficult because now you got to do a lot of thinking on the floor. And with 21 seconds left, you don't have a whole lot of time to think. So Raiders have their work cut out for them, but still not out of the basketball game.
Well, Mark, you saw a game, and so did I, here earlier in the building against UIC, and they were down double digits with about a minute and a half left to go. And even though they lost, they brought it back to within 2, and it's still a possibility. Wright State still has a chance to stay in this one.
Well, and that's the benefit of the 3-point shot. And Wright State's got some people that can shoot it, but in that UIC game, one very important person that they had knocking down threes, Tony Baltrip. We haven't talked a whole lot about him tonight, serving the second of a 2-game suspension for missing a class. Sure would like to have Tony in this situation.
14 points for Brandon Parton. That ties a career high. He set that initially against the University of Dayton back on December 13th. So Parton has really showed up pretty big, and so has Sherman Curry, a team-high 16 points, and you got to give some credit to Thad Burton. He has lived up to his expectations, 14 points and 12 rebounds.
Yeah, so another big performance by Thad. He's a guy that's been a stalwart in the middle. He's always going to come to play, and he's going to be there. I think the big surprise tonight has to be the offensive output of Brandon Parton. 14 points, in my estimation, in a close game like this means a lot more than the 14 that he scored in the blowout against UD. They had to have him tonight. Brandon's come through with them.
The trigger to Madison, and he is fouled quickly by Brandon Parton, and he's not happy that he had the foul. Parton, though, not in any trouble here. His first, team's 9th. And Madison to the line. I guess clearly it was just because it was the wrong guy to foul. Madison getting the ball and a good shooter from the stripe.
They realize, Raleigh Massimino realizes, hey, this is the guy that I want to have the basketball because we know they're going to foul. Get the basketball to James Madison, the 86% shooter, but just not getting it done tonight.
And a brick off the first one.
A little weak off the front iron. And a lot of the shots tonight just have not had the elevation to get in. You know, it's late in the season when your legs start to go and the fatigue sets in as Madison knocks down the second of 2. When your legs start to go, that's when your shot goes. And that's what's happened tonight.
Yago for 3, it's long. And the come down by Melvin McKee. Melvin, and they're content to run things out. Maybe, no, Gross will foul Bowie with 5.2 seconds left to play.
Melvin McKee that time, just the scat back out on the floor. They list him at 5'10", probably closer to 5'7", but, you know, when you're that close to the floor and you have that kind of quickness, it's almost impossible to catch a guy on a dead run.
And another timeout call as we've got 5.2 seconds left to play. And really, Wright State needs a big-time miracle here, but really, to be probable at this point, that win against Butler will now turn into a loss against Cleveland State.
Yeah, the Raiders just didn't do what they had to do throughout the entire 40 minutes tonight. They allowed Cleveland State to dictate the tempo of the basketball game, and Cleveland State, to their credit, they took the load upon their shoulders on the road, tough place to play. They haven't been very successful on the road so far this year, but you know, they certainly seem to be coming of age late in this year going into the MCC tournament. Quality basketball team. They came in here and proved that they can play on the road when they have to, and you have to give a lot of credit to Raleigh Massimino, his staff, and his squad.
Well, at the very least, the fans who came in tonight will have left with an exciting ball game in their minds. We saw a lot of three-point baskets flying around tonight, a combined 11 between the two teams, and we saw a couple breakaway dunks that were really exciting. So at the very least, the fans were entertained. Unfortunately, Wright State looks like they will come out on the short end of the stick. .2 seconds left. Raiders come back out on the court. As Raleigh will likely turn up his record against the Raiders to 4-0. Bowie at the line, shooting a pair.
You see Raleigh Massimino there at the top of your screen. He's a guy that he gets every ounce of himself in every game. You can see him, his hair is all messed up, the tie pulled down, and you know, his team has really gone to the free throw line here in the winning moments of this ball game and knocked them down.
Bowie, yes, 71-64. Here's Pardon, the long three at the head of the key. Yes, knock it down with 0.4 of a second left to play, and it came just a little too late. But a career high for the freshman out of Middle Point, 17 points for Brandon Pardon.
Well, the Raiders tonight with 4 players in double figures. Keon Brooks with 10. Sherman Curry 16, Brandon Pardon, as you mentioned, with a career high 17, and Thad Burton with 14 points. So they've spread the basketball around. Everybody's gotten involved, but you get in a hole early. Even if you get back in the basketball game, you expend so much energy trying to get back, fighting from behind, and 22 turnovers. You're just not going to win a whole lot of basketball games that way.
The Raiders had the lead the last time early in the second half. They led 42-41, and it was quickly broken up by a flurry of threes the other way from the Vikings. And really, that's what the reaction here is. McKee gets the ball, and this game is over. Final score here at the Irvin J. Nutter Center: the Cleveland State Vikings 71 and the Wright State Raiders 67. We'll have post-game festivities coming up, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Media One's presentation of Wright State men's basketball has been brought to you by National. National is the official car rental agency of the Midwestern Collegiate Conference. In the Dayton area, call 937-890-0100 for reservations. And by the Midwestern Collegiate Conference, a solid foundation building for the future.
71-67 the final here at the Irvin J. Nutter Center, and the Raiders come up short on Fairborn night. And a tough go, but a good game all around.
Well, it really was. It's nice to see people like Sherman Curry, Brandon Pardon step up, but yeah, all the credit in the world has to go to Raleigh Massimino and his team. They came in here on the road, haven't been a very successful team on the road so far this year, but came in and played well tonight.
Well, they now move up their record to 1-5 on the road in conference play and 3-9 on the road overall. And really, tonight's antics, if you will, really helped out Cleveland State.
Well, they really do. And he's the type of a coach who is very intense. And as we mentioned, it rubs off on his players. And, you know, they were intense from the start. Offensive end of the floor, defensive end of the floor, they really came in, put 110% on the floor.
Michael Bowens led the way in scoring, the game-high 19 points, and really you have to give him the propers of this game, the star of the game, if you will.
Oh, no doubt about it. James Madison came in. He was the guy with all the accolades, the big three-point shooter, but he wasn't able to get it done. 6 out of 16 from the floor, 2 out of 10 from behind the three-point arc. He couldn't get it done. Michael Bowens stepped up with a big ball game.
However, a nice showing from Sherman Curry, and also a great showing from the point guard, the freshman, Brandon Pardon. a career-high 17 points, and really nothing but good things for the freshman coming
Well,
up.
you like to see him be a threat to score, and tonight he was able to finish. Big game for Brandon Pardon. 17 points, rather, career high. He really came in. Keon, a little subpar performance, had some foul problems. Brandon stepped up.
So the Raiders suffering a setback here, but they have another home game and 2 more games on the road before the conference tournament. And really, you have to say this is a dangerous team because you don't know which team is going to show up.
No, you really don't, and they need to recover. You need to get their psyche back together. They come off a big win here at home against Butler. Then they come right back out, a game that's very winnable against Cleveland State, and they lose it down at the end. So they've got to build something positive from this. Hopefully their performance, Sherman Curry, Brandon Pardon will be those positives.
Cleveland State ups their record to 11-12, 5-6 in the MCC. Wright State falls to 8-15 and 2-9 in the conference. Mark, it's been a pleasure working with you again this season.
I enjoyed it, Jeff.
So, for our producer, Bob Jones, and for Mark Vest, I'm Geoff Kim. Thanks for joining us on Media One. Good night, everyone.